Okay, today is the day we are going to create some things for our picnic blanket. If you did not already glue these little tabs down, get a glue stick and just kind of glue those down on both sides. You just got to lift them up, put a little glue, and then turn it over and do the same to the other side, just so that those don't slide out. You don't need a lot of glue. If you want to leave these long, you can. If you want to cut them off, you can. Some people like them hanging off, kind of like a blanket would be. So that's going to be up to you. I kind of like to cut them off, but I've seen them look really neat hanging off the edge too. Okay, now I'm going to give you a paper plate, and you can glue it wherever you want. I kind of like to glue it to the side just so that I see some of my paper weaving, but if you want to do it in the middle, you can do it in the middle. There's lots of ideas for you to create different 3D things for your picture, but you only get scissors and glue. I'm going to let you choose a couple pieces of paper. I'm going to show you how to make this cylinder. This is the cylinder for a glass of water. You're going to take a strip of paper and you need to turn it so that it's overlapping. These two parts overlap. And in order to do that, I need to put some glue on one side. I'm going to hold it. This is a little bit big. I might be able to make it a little bit smaller, but that's okay. So once I've held it for a few minutes, it's going to stick. Now, if I tried to glue that onto my paper, it would have this really thin edge, and I would not be able to get that to stick. So in order to make it stick, I have to make this flatter, and I have to make these tabs. So I'm going to cut around little tabs. And once I get cut all the way around, I'm going to fold those tabs in. So now there's a flat surface that I can apply glue to. So now they're folded in and I can see inside of it, and there's a flat surface that I'll be able to put glue on. So I can either put glue on top of my weaving, I can push that down, and now my paper plate or my cup should be stuck. It's stuck on there now. Okay, so now if I want to glue my paper plate down, I can put some glue on that. I can glue that down wherever I want it. Push on it a little bit, and I can start adding some food to it. Now, if I just take a scrap piece of paper and put it on there and say, oh, that's a piece of pizza, well, it doesn't really look like a piece of pizza. It looks like just a piece of scraps. So I'm going to have to really think about what I'm going to create and how I'm going to make it look like the type of food that I want. So if I want this to look like a piece of pizza, I'll probably have to think about the shape that pizza comes in, which is more of a triangle. And even though this is a scrap, I can find a triangle in there somewhere. And that looks kind of like a piece of pizza. It still needs some details to it. It needs things like toppings, maybe some crust. So if I put something like a square piece of red on there and said that's pepperoni, well, that looks too big to me. That's not the right size for my pizza. So I'm going to cut some circles. And that looks more like a pepperoni. I can probably cut another small circle out of this one. Small circles are kind of hard because you have to go slowly and you have to turn as you cut. And maybe I want some crust. I could probably find a piece of brown. I'm going to take this is like a little glue sponge. I'm just going to kind of push that on top, and I get a little bit of glue. I don't want too much glue because then it squishes out the sides. Just going to get a little bit of glue. Push that on top of there. Maybe if I want, I've got some yellow paper, maybe I can cut a few pieces for like some cheese. Add some cheese to that. That might be a little bit too big. If I hold that down, it should stick. If I don't get too much glue, it's usually pretty good. And I don't really like that hanging off the edge right there, so I'm just going to cut that off. And that looks a little bit more like a piece of pizza. I probably could add a little bit more to the top, and then I can glue that onto my paper. Now, if I start putting things like, if I get a piece of black and I glue that on top, or if I just layer things all over, I'm not going to see my food that I've created. So I want to really think about what I'm doing. I'm going to think about what I'm going to add to this. Maybe I want to put something inside of there. Maybe I want to think about how to put something inside of there. I created a little straw inside of mine, and that's basically the same way as creating the cup. You just roll up a piece of paper and you create that with a cylinder shape. Here is another trick you can do. You can fold the paper in like a zigzag. So if I bend it back and forth, I can create that kind of zigzag look. And that's what I did when I created my little chips. They're kind of like this zigzag. It gives them a little bit of texture. You can do that. You can also curl the paper. Maybe I wanted to have something a little bit like a curlicue or something spiraled. This works better with thinner paper. I can take a pencil, and this is the only thing that you're going to use a pencil for. You're not going to draw with it. I can curl it around a pencil, and I could create a little bit of a spiral like that. You can kind of see how that looks. You're going to work on this for a couple weeks. This is one of those projects that you just figure things out as you go. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And when you come up with something, sometimes it's interesting to share that idea with someone else. So all those great ideas you'll get to learn from each other, from me, and just trying things out on your own. When it's time to clean up, it is very important. I'm going to collect your plates and your food that you've already done. I'm going to just glue that down, making sure that's already on there so it doesn't fall off. You are going to put any scrap papers that are still usable. Like these are still usable. I'm going to put those in the scrap bucket. All of these I'm going to make sure that I get in the recycling because those are not usable anymore. And we will have some helpers come around and collect scissors and glue sticks. And you will be finished.